with the new secretary coming in January, February, when he's confirmed, we can expect to see significant changes in federal labor policy. For the past few years, the Department of Labor has been led by a secretary whose agenda has been focused on protecting workers and has developed a regulatory scheme to promote that agenda. Secretary-designate Puzder comes from an entirely different background than Secretary Perez. Secretary-designate Puzder has been a successful businessman, a CEO of significant national and global restaurant chains. And he believes in the strength of the American enterprise system and that regulations should be minimal in order to allow that enterprise system to flourish, in order for jobs to be created. He believes that's the strongest way to create jobs, and that's going to certainly be his focus going forward. Another example of where we'll see a significant change in labor policy in 2017 is when we're talking about the minimum wage. For the past a few years, of course, there's been an agenda from this current administration to promote the $15 an hour minimum wage. Secretary-designate Puzder has been quite clear that he opposes that and thinks that will kill jobs, not create jobs. So we could expect him to take an entirely different view when it comes to that. We still have in the courts ongoing litigation with regard to the overtime regulations and the persuader regulations that were set to be implemented last year. We can expect when the new secretary comes into office that he's going to take a look at those regulations and those court cases, and every expectation is that he's going to pull back on those and that neither the overtime regulations nor the persuader regulations are going to stick around. They're going to be rescinded. We may see down the road new and different overtime regulations, which will be more sensitive to business needs than many in the business community would argue that the current overtime regulations were. And we also need to be mindful, employers need to be mindful, that we're going to continue to see activity when it comes to overtime and wage and hour issues at the state and local level. So, for example, recently there have been new overtime, wage and hour regulations and laws implemented in states like New York and California. We'll probably continue to see that activity as we see a change in the federal policy.